Now that you know what you'd like to teach, where you'd like to take students, and when you'd like to take students abroad, you'll need to put together the faculty-led proposal form. This form consists of basic information that the Study Abroad office needs to build the faculty-led program. This includes faculty leader information, course information, study tour information, additional information which would include things like the budget, which we'll talk about throughout this video, and it's very important that you apply the appropriate signatures, including the signatures from the department head and the dean of the college with which you're housed.
The next thing on the proposal is going to be your syllabus. Everyone's created one of these, you know what you include in yours. The really important things that need to be included on this are the start and end date of the course. You also want to include textbooks, student learning outcomes, everything you would normally add in a syllabus, but we are going to need one for your course.
You'll also want to include a study tour itinerary. This will include your departure date, your return date, any excursions that you plan to make, as well as any site visits that you plan to take your students on.
Once you have some of the items on paper, you're going to want to start to create the program budget. The program budget is an Excel file that you can modify to include all of the expenditures for the program. They're going to be separated into 3 columns. One is going to be the faculty leader expenses. The next column is going to be student expenses that's going to be billed through the student's cases account. And the last column is going to be any out of expenses for the student. When you turn in the proposal, you're going to want to turn the program budget sheet as an Excel document electronically, as well as a hard copy version. When you're filling it out, you're going to want to include any and all expenditures that the student can anticipate while spending on the program. If you have any questions about this, because it can be a little bit difficult, don't hesitate to contact the Study Abroad office.
Another important part of the proposal is going to be the documentation for what's on your budget. The 4 main things you need to include are airfare, lodging, excursions, and transportation. So you just want to make sure you have printouts from websites or the actual flight that you want to include so that we are knowing where you're getting your budget from.
And the next part of your faculty-led program proposal is potentially the most difficult and challenging part of the entire process, but still not that big of a deal. You have the advisors here to help you with it, and it's the compensation contract. This essentially is a tuition revenue usage plan, I like to call it, because we essentially take the tuition revenues that you collect from students for your course, assuming that they're paying for the course, and we allocate it depending on how you indicate you wish to be compensated on this form. There are really only 3 options, despite the fact that this looks pretty complicated, and they are salary. So depending on your contract, 1/9 or 1/12 of your salary is the max you could receive. You can allocate tuition also to your travel expenses, so paying down your cost of your travel and not passing that on to students. Or you can have it go into a development reserve account, or DRA, in your department or college. One trick with this form is that it says you should just check one of those options. I really think it's a good idea if you rank order all of them, because if you pull in too much tuition, we're going to need to know which other sets of or types of compensation you'll want. So again, this is pretty complicated. If you have any questions, you can contact any of us here in the Study Abroad office. One final point I do want to emphasize, though, is the very bottom of here, where you need signatures of your department head as well as the dean of your college. As this is a contract developed by Faculty Senate, it's a very important form, so we do need their consent on all of this. If you have any questions, again, like I said, just contact us.
Another thing you'll want to include is a marketing and recruitment plan. This is a simple 1-page write-up highlighting what you plan to do to promote your program to students. You'll want to think about your target audience as well as anybody you plan to work with to promote your program. For example, if you're planning on working with any academic advisors or people in your department to help promote your program.
Some faculty-led proposals will require supplemental information. Supplemental information can include many different things. For example, if you're working with a third-party agent to help planning some travel, there may be a contract involved, and the Study Abroad office would need the contract. If you want to include alcohol on some of the group activities, an alcohol request form is required. Another example of supplemental information would be a transportation waiver request form if there are some issues with transportation in the country where you'll be taking students.
So the final part of every faculty-led program proposal is when it's due, the deadline. And we actually have 3 different deadlines depending on the term when you assign credit for the course associated with the program. So for instance, if you have a fall course with your program, then the deadline for that will be December 1st of the year prior. If you have a spring course attached to your program, the deadline will be May 1st of the year prior. And if you have a summer course attached to your program, then the deadline will be August 1st of the year prior. Now you may be wondering, why are the deadlines so early? Because I kept saying the year prior. But that's because there's a lot to do with all these faculty-led program proposals. In fact, you've heard a lot about them in this video. The budget, marketing plans, risk management procedures, all those really need to be in place. So we want to make sure that you have all the time that you need to put all of those things in place, to follow all those procedures, and that we can have a successful program for you and for your college and department. At the end of the day, if you have any questions about this process, just contact us in the Study Abroad office and we are here to help.